Three of the world's most powerful and controversial leaders, Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, and Kim Jong Un, just met in Beijing for a historic moment that's sending shockwaves across the globe. Why did they come together? What does this mean for the war in Ukraine, global alliances, and the balance of power? Stay with me as we unpack this unprecedented meeting, the massive military parade that framed it, and why the West is on edge. Hit that subscribe button and let's dive in. On September 3rd, 2025, Beijing's Tiananmen Square was transformed into a stage of military might. China hosted a massive parade to mark the 80th anniversary of Japan's surrender in World War II. Over 10,000 troops, 100 aircraft, and cutting-edge weapons like the DF-61 intercontinental ballistic missile rolled through the streets. But this wasn't just a history lesson. It was a bold statement of power. Among the 26 world leaders watching, Russia's Vladimir Putin and North Korea's Kim Jong Un, standing shoulder to shoulder with China's Xi Jinping. This was their first public meeting together, a rare moment that's got everyone from Washington to Kiev asking, what's going on here? This parade wasn't just about flexing military muscle, it was a diplomatic power play. Let's break down why these three leaders met and what they're trying to achieve. First, let's meet the players. Vladimir Putin, Russia's president, is deep in his war against Ukraine, facing Western sanctions and needing allies to keep his military machine running. Xi Jinping, China's leader, is pushing for a new world order, challenging U.S. dominance while claiming neutrality in Ukraine. And Kim Jong Un, North Korea's reclusive dictator, is breaking out of isolation, supplying Russia with troops and weapons while seeking global legitimacy. This meeting wasn't random. It's the culmination of years of growing ties between these nations, all united by one thing: a shared opposition to the West. Russia and North Korea signed a mutual defense pact in June 2024, reviving Cold War-era ties. North Korea's been sending artillery, missiles, and even soldiers to help Russia in Ukraine. China and Russia? Xi calls Putin his old friend, and China's been a lifeline, buying Russian oil and keeping Moscow's economy afloat. China and North Korea. Beijing's North Korea's biggest trading partner, providing 90% of its food imports. Kim's presence at this parade, his first multilateral event, shows he's leaning on China for legitimacy. But why now? The timing is critical. With Donald Trump pushing for a Ukraine peace deal and threatening tariffs, Xi's positioning himself as a global power broker. This meeting is a signal to the U.S. China holds the cards. So, what went down in Beijing? The day before the parade, Xi hosted Putin at the Great Hall of the People and his personal residence, Zhongnanhai, calling him his old friend. Kim arrived later in his bulletproof Sunshine train, a 20-hour journey from Pyongyang, accompanied by his daughter, Kim Jong-un, who's rumored to be his successor. At the parade, Xi stood front and center, with Putin on his right and Kim on his left. This wasn't just choreography, it was a deliberate message of unity. Xi's speech called for peace and a unified China, hinting at Taiwan, while subtly jabbing at the U.S. for its Cold War mentality. The real bombshell came in private talks. Putin thanked Kim for helping Russia push Ukrainian forces out of Kursk earlier this year. Kim's response? A chilling promise to do everything possible to support Moscow. This isn't just talk. North Korea's already sent thousands of containers of weapons to Russia. Xi, meanwhile, stayed quiet on Ukraine, but didn't hide his alignment with Putin and Kim. Analysts are now warning of possible trilateral military exercises between these nations, which could reshape security in Asia and beyond. Let's get to the why. This meeting wasn't just about a parade, it's about reshaping the global order. Here are the top 3 reasons these leaders came together. First, countering the West. The US, South Korea, and Japan have ramped up trilateral military drills, worrying China, Russia, and North Korea. This meeting signals a counter-alliance, with Xi positioning China as the leader of a multipolar world. Second, strengthening military ties. Russia and North Korea's 2024 pact already promises mutual defense. Kim's pledge to keep supplying troops and weapons to Russia raises fears of a deeper military axis, possibly including China. Third, diplomatic leverage. For Xi, hosting Putin and Kim is a power move ahead of potential talks with Donald Trump. With tariffs in Ukraine on the table, Xi's showing he can influence two of America's biggest adversaries. For Kim, this is a rare chance to step onto the world stage. His presence alongside 26 other leaders, including those from Iran and Belarus, gives him legitimacy despite his nuclear ambitions. ambitions. For Putin, it's about securing North Korea's weapons and China's economic support to keep his war going. So, what does this mean for the rest of us? Let's break it down. For Ukraine, Kim's promise to keep supplying Russia is a nightmare for Kyiv. If North Korea sends more troops, Russia's manpower shortages could ease, prolonging the war. Ukraine's President Zelensky called Putin's actions demonstrative, and he's now racing to secure more Western support. For the West, Xi's alignment with Putin and Kim challenges NATO and the US. If trilateral military exercises happen, it could escalate tensions in the Asia-Pacific, especially near South Korea and Japan. For global stability, this meeting strengthens a bloc of authoritarian regimes opposing Western democracies. With China flexing its military and economic might, the risk of a broader conflict, especially over Taiwan or the Korean peninsula, grows. And then there's Trump. He's hinted at wanting to meet Kim again and negotiate a Ukraine deal. But with Xi holding court with Putin and Kim, any talks will be on China's terms. Let's wrap this up. The Beijing meeting between Putin, Xi, and Kim isn't just a photo op, it's a bold statement. These leaders are drawing a line in the sand, challenging the West and signaling a new era of cooperation, from North Korea's weapons to Russia's oil and China's global ambitions. This alliance could reshape geopolitics for years to come. The question is, how will the US and its allies respond? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think this means for the world? Smash that like button, subscribe for more deep dives, and I'll see you in the next one.